today I thought we could just have a little talk through of how I created like the rose wall in the experimental horror student short film called Philippa. And the reason I'm not doing a tutorial today is because I think it's pretty straightforward, so it's not really a tutorial as such, although I will be talking through the process of how I made the rose wall, This film was made in 2023 in South Africa, and I will be talking about prices and certain things that I found easier to find, like to source. This sold, like I'm speaking from my own perspective as a South African film student in 2023. I made the rose wall with fake roses and what is called like plastic garden fencing. So yeah, the reason I chose that is because I wanted to basically weave or put the roses in like the little holes of the garden fencing, yeah, creating like a wall that looks like it's made out of roses. But obviously we quickly ran into some challenges because realistic looking fake red roses are actually really hard to come by. A lot of them, most of them, it's visibly fake, like you can clearly see, and then the ones that look very realistic are uber expensive. Even at places like Chinatown where we went to look, could not find that was at a price, because also keep in mind you need so many red roses to actually fill a wall with it. So it might seem fine, like, oh, 10 rand a rose, I mean, that's okay. Like it's just 10 rand, but times that by 1,000 and you're paying 10k for red roses, because that's also something I want to touch on in this video. For the rose wall situation that we had in Philippa, we needed 2 panels of red roses, like, yeah, and both of them were 1 meter by 1.5 meters. So to fill that up, we actually needed 1,500 red roses. That's what we ended up using. As for a little piece actually takes way more roses than you think, because that's also something we struggled with. Initially we would have had 4 panels, 1 meter by 1.5 meters, and because by my math the roses would fill that up, but it literally 1,500 roses only filled up like 2 panels of 1 meter by 1.5 meters. So like, I hope that gives you sort of an idea of, yeah, how many roses you'd need for whatever space you want to fill, or how big. I found a place called Props to the Stars in Salt River Observatory. I don't know, yeah, it's like Observatory Salt River. This is now in Cape Town, based close to Cape Town in the Western Cape. And they basically rent out props and set elements to big production houses and people who shoot films and all that kind of stuff. So I spoke to them and they had realistic looking red roses that were fake. And it cost about 4 rand per rose to rent for a whole week, which is also nice that you get it for a whole week. And yeah, but that was without tax. So it was 4 rand a rose, and then you had to pay tax with it afterwards. So it ended up, I think it cost us like, I actually can't remember, but you can do the math. 4 rand per rose, it was 1,500 roses. Yes, so that's the cheapest I could find it. Like, there was no other way we could get it cheaper, even though now you're not buying it, you're renting it, but like there was no way we could be paying like 10 rand a rose, even 7 rand a rose, because that's the cheapest I could get, but then it wasn't realistic looking. 7 rand a rose times 1,500, like it's just crazy. We couldn't do it as students. Like, we were literally making this student short film. There was no way. I found our fencing at Builders Warehouse, and it costs, this is what it costs today, is not 135 rand per meter, and it is like 1.5 meters in width, if that makes sense. So like basically if you had to take the same size as we took, because we took 2 panels of 1 meter, that would cost 270 rand. So yes, which it's not cheap, but it's the cheapest you're gonna get. So yes, and then basically all we did was we wrapped and tangled like the roses into the fence. Try and insert a clip here of like the Philippa short film, but what we did for our short film is we had people sticking their hands through the walls so that it looks like hands are coming out of the walls, like from between the roses. And because we did that, we had to cut like holes in the fencing for them to stick their hands through. And I was worried that when we put in the roses that it was going to be super obvious, like, whoa, there's a massive hole there. But actually the roses, if you like bend it correctly into the wall and you like twist it nicely, it actually like looks very, like, you can't see the hole at all until the hand comes out. So that was definitely not something to worry about if that is something you're looking to do. But also you need side cutters, because technically it's not fully plastic, it's actually a wire that they've covered up in plastic. So you need like side cutters to actually cut the wire, because it's tough. It's not like you can't just use a pair of scissors. So yeah, just take note of that. And then because it's wire and people will be sticking their hands through, it's actually because you cut it with side cutters, so it literally is sharp. Like, it can hurt people and it can get caught on people's skin and cause like injuries, or not heavy injuries, but you know. So put some tape, masking tape, or yeah, any tape, but masking tape is usually cheapest, on the edges of the hole that you've cut. Also, if you've cut any of the fencing on the sides, cover that in masking tape as well, so that nobody's gonna get hurt. Anyway, and then people can comfortably put their hands through without getting cut, so just remember to do that as like a safety precaution. We needed it to be able to move the walls, because we were, again, like shoestring budget, and we wanted it to look like the whole room was made out of roses. Maybe this can actually give you an idea for something like creative problem solving. I'm all about creative problem solving, like, yeah. But anyway, so we wanted it to look like the whole room was like made out of roses and these hands are coming out of it. Very student, very experimental. But obviously we didn't have enough roses to be able to do that with the whole room. So what we wanted to do was basically have these 2 panels so that it can look like 2 walls, and then the cinematographer would just be like going like this over the whole room with the camera, so you won't actually ever see a wide shot of the whole room, because it was a POV shot, so you'd just be seeing like what the person is seeing. Again, I'll try and find like a clip of the film so that it makes sense when I'm talking. But so we literally only had 2 panels, and then as the cinematographer was moving over the one panel and moving on to the next, to like the second wall, this panel needed to be moved super quickly, like around behind the cinematographer, to next to the second panel, so that when he moves like this, boom, there's another wall, but it's actually just the first wall. Which, by the way, that was actually hard to choreograph, because now you have these people with their hands outside, like through the holes, and they're having to like put their hands back, like run quickly to the other side, and like put the hands like through again. It was like it was such a rush, but we did it. And what was I? Oh yeah, the point I wanted to make is we basically needed our wall to be able to move, and unfortunately, because it's fencing and it's like plastic, and it doesn't stand by itself, so I would recommend making a wooden frame for it. I know that's like a little bit more, like it's a bit more difficult, because you need to actually have some like wood skills, if that makes sense, but it won't stand on its own. I even tried putting just like 2 random poles and cable tying it to the poles, and then just have people hold on to the poles to keep it up. But even that, like, it just wobbled, it wasn't working, so we literally had people holding it up and having it move. But like I said, if you needed to stand up, I'd say get a wooden frame, build a wooden frame, like some frame, and if it needs to move, put wheels on there, like put wheels on the frame so that you can just push it around. Weaving the roses into the fence was a lot of work. It's very time consuming, and also afterwards when you have to undo, because obviously we rented the roses, so we needed to give the roses back in the condition that we got them, and so having to unwind all the roses and then like make sure it's in a good condition to give back, that was also a lot of work. So it is quite labor intensive, but the payoff was great. I'd say the final product was impressive. So